This is the story of when I went to Winnipeg, Canada. I've been to Canada many times, but never to Manitoba. And it's true, when you read their license plates, they say, Friendly Manitoba. And yet I would never move there. Not because they are unfriendly, they really are wonderful people, but because the environment is, well, let's say the Pacific Northwest is a spoon, Winnipeg, Canada would be a serrated knife. It is harsh. It takes a very special person to survive in such a dangerous environment such as that. And it is dangerous. Do you realize how much snow they get? It's remarkable. You see the levels also where it floods every year during the summer. Why would you live in a place that consistently floods? Why? Oh, it's beyond me. But hey, it's their home, and if they can thrive there, like the people up in Alaska, more power to them. It just takes this very special person, and I am not that person. Maybe someday I will be, I don't know, but right now, I like my Washington state. Why I was in Winnipeg was, it was a wedding that I was in. I was in the wedding party for a good friend of mine, Lewis. I met him over on Mercy ships in Sierra Leone when I was in West Africa. And since then, he started his own organization called Believe and See. It is an awesome organization. Runs it like a very, very well-oiled machine. And just very wise man. I'll never forget when someone asked him, what business principle have you employed to make Believe and See successful? Because it is very successful. And he answered in one word: righteousness. Oh, dude, righteousness. You do not get that from a normal businessman or leader of a nonprofit organization. And I think that's very admirable. That's something that I strive for, and it has inspired me. And on this trip over there, this wedding trip, it was like a retreat for me personally. It was so inspiring to see these awesome people of God serving the rest of the world selflessly and in God's name. Lewis's wife's dad is just this on-fire Christian who's just unstoppable. It's just so cool talking to every person from Texas, which was Lewis's side of the family, to Canada, which, by the way, so funny seeing the cultural differences between Texans and Canadians. There really is a huge difference, even down to the beer. Remarkable. For example, I'll give you an example. Sitting there at this beautiful, serene lake right there with mosquitoes everywhere. That's another reason. Get them away, get them away. But sitting there in these lawn chairs and talking with the Texans, and the conversation inevitably goes to guns and firearms. And they're just very open and to talk about it. They just don't make an issue out of it. They just shrug their shoulders and say, yeah, we're careful with them. Just like you'd be careful with a sharp sushi knife. And they just shrug their shoulders, and that's it. There's no issue. There's no political drama surrounding it. And then you get a few Canadians, and they're like, they just don't understand. They just do not grasp it, which is okay. That's their culture. I don't expect them, nor am I entitled to feel that they should grasp it. That's okay. But it's just very, very funny observing these things. Well, when I was in the wedding party, we were at the photo shoot, and there was a very comically small leather chair that I thought would be a good prop, because when you're getting your photos taken, you want to work with something instead of just standing there like a beautiful statue and getting your photo taken. It's just really awkward. So there was this little chair, and I kind of got the chair, and it kind of went up to your knee. I mean, this was a small chair. comically small. And I sat in it, and everybody laughed and took a picture. Funny! Another guy sat in it, took a picture. Funny! The groom, Lewis, he sat in it also. It turned out fine. He sat in it a second time. That was a great picture as well. He turned the chair around to sort of, sit in the chair backwards, and lo, an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, and he pointed unto the $150 Nordstrom pants that Lewis was wearing and said, "Thou shalt split." And his pants did split, from crotch all the way back to the belt loop. This was a big split that was just, it sounded like a little rip when it happened, but immediately he stood up with eyes as big as my headlights on my car, and he looked at Naomi, who was getting her picture taken elsewhere, and she looked at him, and he was like, "Oh, this is really bad." This, mind you, was not but 3 hours before Louis Swan was about to say "I do" to his new wife. Not something you want to happen right before the ceremony. Wow, wow, wow. So we tried clothespins. The videographer was really great too. He offered to sew it. I was about to sew it as well. Incredibly, Naomi, Louis's then fiance, now wife, she had a sewing kit. Incredible. But this was one of those seams, once again, that was a good 12 to 13 inches in length. Oh, poor Louis. And Louis is in shape. It's not like he's this round fellow who's bursting at the seams and splits his pants all the time. No, he's a very trim sort of fellow. It was just remarkable that these very expensive pants split. Oh, he felt so bad. And of course, I laughed so hard my sides hurt. Only after they were laughing. I didn't make light of the situation at the climax of the moment, but eventually I was just in tears. I just couldn't believe it. It was just the classic Three Stooges. I'm gonna split my pants open so wide no one has any doubt that I'm wearing whitey-tighties underneath. Oh, of all the times, oh, at your wedding. Oh boy. It did end well. We actually found a tailor nearby, and he or she, whoever fixed it, did a fantastic job. Sewed it up just like that, and Louis got married. And that is one last piece of advice that I'd like to impart on you, is a wedding. The point of a wedding is not a performance. It is a celebration.